So Solomon, who has always been, I've always been a fan of Solomon, always been a fan. You know, some people like, Stark. You know, some people like, some people like Superman. I've always liked Solomon. It's like, maybe because mom didn't let us have a TV, I was completely addicted to spiritual books. Guys like Solomon is like, this is the real deal. It's like, he's having fun. He's got control. He's got the girls. He's got the incense. And, he's got the wisdom, everything. Like when you're growing up in the Abrahamic dogma, Solomon's your guy. And the craziest part about it is that, I never really completely cracked it. Like I already knew like all of this that people always see. Oh, Solomon, it's 3 sons, blah, 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 blah. But they don't understand, like these are specific sons. Like this is specific, okay? And while not getting into details, because this is a brother and sisterhood, by the way. Solomon is not just men. This is the corruption. So in this, there is the knowledge of building a temple, sometimes known as Solomon's temple. Okay? Now, in the knowledge of Solomon's temple, all of what seems to be configured is somehow based on phi geometry. In fact, so much that everyone seems to insist that this actually came from replicas of what was in Egypt. And in fact, Solomon's original temple is actually in Kemet, and actually all over the place, because the geometries are being used all the time. But that's not really what I want to drill into today, is like what now the humanity is doing with the knowledge of Solomon's temple. We'll save that for another episode. If I put this all over the place. What we really want to hone in on is the ancient story of Solomon, which, again, because I was a fan, I've read all the comic books. It's like, yo, where's some more books about Solomon? 2 more books about Solomon. And as you get deeper and deeper about Solomon, things get kind of strange as you keep going. And as I kept going, even to a point where there was like a contact where I would get things like the Basque relief of Solomon. I'm not sure if I can actually find that. Put together by the Russian Tsars that say an ode to Solomon and Sheba, love controlling time, meaning that there's a pun here that somehow whoever Solomon is, and we know who Sheba is, and we know what Menelik is, somehow connects to something the Tsars are literally taunting, like, hey, we've done something. The Russians, they're always up to something with black magic. So what happens is those original czars, which were in Sudan, which were women with a crescent moon branded on their forehead, had their entire matriarch usurped by, I'll just say, troglodytes, in order to flip the poles of what happened in our world as far as the energetic level. And this happened because of the awareness of the knowledge of Solomon's temple. Because the trogs who were 1 level below us, now we know where they come from, were burrowing, just like you see on the movie The Matrix, burrowing tunnels into the earth and listening in our secret places, in our secret sanctums, in order to get the knowledges of the high kingdom, which was forbidden to pass to the profane. And in that, they got awareness of Solomon's temple and how to destroy the temple. And how this plays out, because we are the temple, is within mythology of things like the ring, okay? 1 ring. Who's been talking about the ring lately, right? Who's talking about the ring? Golem? Y'all get Golem the ring? Because last time I checked the Lord of the Rings, Golem had it. Who's Golem? So 1 ring to control them all, right? And then, I don't know the whole riddle, but in the darkness of their ignorance, we shall bind them, is the end of the riddle, right? About the ring. And they're referring to not that crazy-ass Sanskrit ring they got on there that they keep selling over at the Disney store. But Solomon's real ring, which actually just looks like this and this. If you know real occultism, you know that Solomon's ring is this. So the story goes that Solomon, all in his great wise majesty, began to call in demons in order to interrogate them and thus to find out more knowledge about the angels, since every angel paired up with his demon. So what they're literally telling you is that where there's a yin, there's a yang. And if you have a yin, then you have a yang. If you have a problem, you have a solution. So what Solomon was doing was trying to figure out all of the solutions of everything and interrogating all the way up the levels until he came to great Asmodius, the king of demons, who is very real. It took a minute to actually get Asmodius handled as I kept going through the Citiopigraphas and the Apocrypha, foolishly evoking through just what was written there. It's a good thing that the Comforter came on my behalf in that scenario, but I had enough to know, okay, this is real, which is all they want me to do. It's like a fly on the wall. It's like, yeah, that's a real being, okay? So what happened is as Solomon's going on through his process, because you got to understand the mythos, he gets to Asmodius again, and he asks Asmodius, so who's your, like, because he's kind of like casual, who's your guy? Who's your thwarting guy? I'm just giving you a scenario here. Asmodius said, there's nobody. There's nobody that is more lower than me. I'm actually the apex. I'm the counterweight to God, nigga. So when you think of God, I'm his opposite, so there is no other beside me. So Solomon got mad about this answer, even though that was a lack of his own wisdom. So you got to peep this out, because they're telling you about the bodies you're in and the story behind them. So, because basically that Solomon could, in the initiation, could not figure out how his father was Darth Vader, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, how can you, the chief of demons, be anywhere near equal to God? And he was like, well, because God has a shadow. And so anyway, Solomon took this for granted, just like everybody on earth has today, about keeping themselves imbalanced. This is a literal interpretation that is taken into characters about a play that we're conducting in our consciousness every single day. A game that we keep losing. So the story goes on that Solomon gets tricked by Asmodius. It happens in a few different ways. And this is funny because there's literally 3 texts, as if in every single one, they want to explain to you a way that you can fall short in this. One of them was the worship of God of Moloch, where he crushed grapes in his hands. The other one was because of crushed a grasshopper in his hands. I'll decode that for you in the future. The other one was about him taking off the ring for one moment in cockiness. Okay? And that one is the one we need to focus on. Is that at any point that you take off your cloak of wisdom, a demon will hurl you far length, because that's what happened to Solomon. Asmodius, because that's what they say, don't entertain the demons, meaning don't entertain the lower thoughts, like angriness and all that. Don't play around, Solomon. But no. He lets Asmodius sit in the court and talk to him. Tell me more about this. And in that process, Asmodius got into his ego. And this is all a metaphor. And convinced him to take off the ring. If you didn't have the ring, you wouldn't be able to defeat me. This is literally saying, if you don't have knowledge, if you don't have wisdom, you cannot defeat me. And Solomon's saying, even if I was a fool, I could defeat you. Okay. He took off the ring. It said he hurled him. So what they're basically saying is, especially from what we read earlier, is he hurled him into amnesia. That's how far. He said Solomon went so far, he became a broke beggar in the streets as an old man until he could make it back to his kingdom. And it was only through luck. This is what they say. Like, think of the symbolism. They said it was only through luck that he found his ring in the mouth of a fish. Okay, now that's really symbolic. Okay, in the Vesicas, you found the ring. Life, the creation of life is in the vesica. Right here, when you know about this and how all that works, now you found life again, Solomon. You can come back. Suns, moons, come back. Come forward. Connect. Okay?